Fingers hover over the block button. Your heart screams to send one more text, just to explain, just to be heard. But what if the most powerful move you can make is the one your pain is telling you to avoid? What if the secret to regaining your power lies not in action, but in a very specific kind of inaction? Most people give in to their immediate emotions and lose all their power in the process. They miss the final chapter, where silence becomes your strategy and confidence becomes your signal. Skipping that part guarantees you stay stuck in the cycle of pain and confusion. The real science of attraction is at the very end, emotional reaction. When a connection ends, your brain registers it as a genuine threat. This isn't just you being dramatic, it's neuroscience. The part of your brain that processes physical pain, the anterior cingulate cortex, lights up in the exact same way during a social rejection. You are, in a very real sense, in pain. Your primal brain, your amygdala, takes over. Its only job is to stop the threat and end the pain immediately. This is where the impulse to beg comes from. Begging, pleading, sending that long explanatory text. It's a desperate attempt to get a fix. You're trying to soothe that pain by eliciting a response, any response, that might bring back the feeling of connection, which for the brain is a signal of safety. It's a subconscious attempt to restore the status quo because your brain's threat detection system is screaming that something is terribly wrong. The impulse to block comes from the same place. Threat management. Your brain wants to eliminate the source of the pain. If you can't see their updates, their pictures, their online activity, then you can't be triggered by a new potential threat, like them seeming happy without you. It feels like taking back control, like building a digital fortress to protect yourself. It's a logical self-preservation instinct driven by pure, raw emotion. But here's the critical data point we often miss in the heat of the moment. Actions driven by our panic response system are almost never strategic. They are reactive, not proactive. While begging and blocking feel like you are doing something, the signals you are sending are ones of deep emotional distress and a complete loss of control. It's like trying to negotiate a business deal while screaming. You might be loud, but you have zero leverage. Understanding the why behind your impulses is the first step to mastering them. It's not a weakness to feel these things, it's a fundamental part of our human wiring. The goal isn't to stop feeling the pain. The goal is to stop letting the pain make your decisions for you. When you can pause and say, I see you, emotional brain, but my strategic brain is in charge right now, you have just taken back the first and most important piece of your power. Power dynamics, every human interaction, especially a romantic one, is governed by a subtle exchange of value and power. I'm not talking about manipulation, but the science of social perception. Your perceived value is your social currency, and it's heavily influenced by the cues you send. When you beg, you are sending a clear, high-volume signal that your sense of well-being is entirely dependent on them. This dramatically lowers your perceived value. Think about the principle of scarcity. We inherently value things that are rare, unique, and not easily attained. When you make yourself endlessly available, when you plead for attention, you are signaling abundance in the worst way. You are communicating that your time, your energy, and your validation are not scarce resources. Psychologically, this makes you less desirable. It triggers a subconscious response in the other person that pulls them away, not closer. Now let's look at blocking. On the surface, it seems like a power move. I'm cutting you out. But what does it actually signal? It signals that you are so deeply affected by their presence that you cannot trust yourself to handle it. It shows that they still hold immense power over your emotional state. In a strange way, it can actually be validating to the person who was blocked, confirming the impact they still have on you. The most powerful position you can hold is one of calm, confident indifference. I don't mean being cold or cruel. I mean a genuine state of, my life is full and my happiness is my own project, with or without you. This is the signal that creates intrigue. This is the cue that raises your perceived value. It introduces a massive pattern interrupt into their expectation that you will be heartbroken and chasing them. When you do neither, when you don't beg for their attention, but also don't make a grand show of blocking them from your life, you create a vacuum of information. Their brain, which was expecting a predictable emotional reaction, now has a question mark. Why aren't they chasing? Why aren't they angry? What are they thinking? This curiosity is the first step to shifting the power dynamic back to a neutral or even favorable position for you. You move from being the predictable reactor to the unpredictable enigma. Strategic silence. This brings us to the do this part of the equation. The alternative to begging or blocking is not just doing nothing, it's engaging in what I call strategic silence. This is not the passive, painful no contact where you are just waiting by the phone. This is an active, intentional period of recalibration where you stop all output and focus entirely on your own input. It is a science-backed strategy for regaining emotional control and rebuilding your value. Your first step is to create a complete communication blackout from your end. This means no texts, no calls, no comments on their social media, no accidental run-ins. You are not announcing it. You are not sending a final text that says, "I'm not going to contact you anymore." An announcement is a plea for a reaction. You simply stop. You are removing your energy from their ecosystem completely. The second and most crucial step is to reinvest that energy. All the time and mental space you were spending thinking about them, checking their social media, or composing texts, that is now your most valuable resource. You must reinvest it into areas that send powerful signals of growth and well-being. This is where you become a scientist of your own life. You start a new project, double down on your fitness goals, or learn that skill you've been putting off. This isn't about faking it until you make it. It's about taking actions that genuinely produce feelings of competence and confidence. When you learn a new chord on the guitar or hit a new personal best at the gym, your brain releases dopamine and serotonin. You are literally rewiring your brain for happiness, independent of that other person. You are creating new neural pathways that don't lead back to them. During this period, you become an observer. You observe your own emotions without judgment. You gather data on your patterns. What situations make you feel the urge to contact them? What are your triggers? This strategic silence isn't just about them, it's a masterclass in you. It's the time you need to detach from the emotional reaction and connect with your logical, powerful self. It's the ultimate pattern interrupt, and it sets the stage for everything that comes next. Radiating value. So, what happens when you commit to this strategic silence? You begin to change from the inside out, and that change begins to radiate powerful new cues. This is the watch what happens phase, and it's where the science of nonverbal communication and social proof comes into play. You are no longer broadcasting signals of neediness. You are broadcasting signals of vitality and self-sufficiency. People, including your ex, will notice. Your posture changes when you feel more confident. You stand taller. You take up more space. Your smile becomes more genuine because it's triggered by real accomplishment, not a desire to please someone else. You make better eye contact. These are micro cues that the human brain is expertly wired to pick up on. They signal high value and emotional stability. Your social landscape also begins to change. Because you've reinvested your energy, you are spending more time with friends, engaging in hobbies, and maybe even meeting new people. This creates social proof. It non-verbally communicates that you are a person who is wanted, valued, and has a rich, engaging life. This is infinitely more attractive than someone who is sitting at home, waiting. The curiosity we talked about earlier will begin to grow. They might hear from a mutual friend that you're training for a marathon. They might see a picture of you genuinely laughing with a group of people. The story they had in their head that you would be lost without them is now being challenged by compelling new data. Their brain has to reconcile the person they left with the thriving person who exists now. This is the point where you might get that "hey" text or a comment on a story because you have successfully flipped the script. You have become the scarce resource. You have become the enigma. And because you have spent this time rebuilding your own foundation, you will receive that text from a place of power, not desperation. You get to decide if you even want to reply. The ultimate outcome of this strategy is not about getting them back. It's about getting yourself back in a way that is so powerful and authentic that you become magnetic to high-quality opportunities and people. The goal was never to master a technique to get someone back. The goal was to master yourself. It was to realize that your value is not determined by their presence or absence, but is an inherent, non-negotiable fact. When you truly embody this, you don't need to chase, beg, or block. You simply become magnetic, a force of your own making, and you get to choose who has access to your incredible energy. Okay, the chapter on strategic silence felt like a light bulb moment. Which part of this made you rethink your own approach?